Welcome to the Fandemic Presents Prevenge of the Nerds. We are your one stop podcast. Every week, we are going to give you all the things to level up your awesome. You can also order my kids' book, Leveling Up My Awesome, on Amazon or contact me for autographed copies for just a little bit more than Amazon's asking.
Shameless plug number one.
Number one,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
All right. So, for starters, we will give you our war report. That's right. The What's Awesome report for the week with all the who's it's and what's it's. If it's awesome, you know we got to talk about it. Once you find out what's awesome, we're going to give you Prevenge part of the show, and we tell you all the stories that could have led to your favorite TV shows, movies, and so much more. It might be a list, it might be a pitch. One thing is for sure, your awesome will be leveled due to this. Then to close the show, we are going to play pitch, fix, and ditch. We will look at some property and we will pitch something to do with it, fix what needs to be fixed, and then make it worse. Yes, we will
Oh,
piff
we
it.
will definitely. Yes.
Patent pending, piffed. All
We,
right,
we call that the Cleveland Browns version. We will take anything that's pretty good and we will utterly destroy it. Yes, sir.
give
We
it enough
call it,
time.
we will give it the Jar Jar treatment.
I
Okay.
love it.
Yes. All right. We're going to Jar Jar it this evening.
All right, I'm Bradley Buchanan, and this is my co-host.
Brian S. Dennis with the S stands for Lord Corliss.
Ooh, welcome to the Fandemic, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So don't forget to like, share, and hit all the buttons that remind you on all the platforms. Don't forget to tell all your nerdy friends as well to level up their awesome. Or you could buy a book, Leveling Up My Awesome, and just kind of pass it along.
Shameless plug number two.
In 2.5 minutes, I think I'm doing pretty good.
We might set some records here today.
But first,
Yes.
Brian, do you know where the name Bruce Wayne came from?
I do not.
Robert the Bruce and Mad Anthony Wayne, a hero of the American Revolution.
Really?
Yeah, I read that. And I saw it in a couple of. I mean, I didn't check all the sources or anything, but several places are saying that Bob Kane was a huge historian.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's
So part of me now wonders that they find any whispering metal and and open up like a black door and there we go. So all right, there we be.
right. I mean, could be a cave over in late 1700s. I
You
don't
know,
know.
Gotham is not in one fixed place. So who's to say? It could be, in Massachusetts adjacent to the Black Door. And wouldn't that be awesome?
Right. So where do you put the DC cities like
Yeah,
Metropolis and
yeah,
Gotham, Central City, Star City?
sure. Well, to me, Central City's on the coast. Like, I think Central City's got to be like in California.
Central
Uh,
City?
yeah, it reads that way to me. I know it's called Central City, but I don't know, something
Okay.
about this, the geographic makes me think it's somewhere on the coast.
Yeah, like a
Uh,
San Francisco type
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And by an opposite thing, I would say I would say though with Gotham and Metropolis, because they're both allegories of New York City, right? I mean, that's a
Mm-hmm.
shock. Gotham goes.
Right.
I mean, New York goes by Gotham and Metropolis, right? And they're supposed to be fairly close to each other, but also at the same time, Metropolis isn't super far from Smallville, Kansas. So
Right.
geography, right?
Right. So Metropolis is more like a Chicago, and you think Gotham
Yeah.
is more like a New York, I'm
I'm
thinking.
thinking Jersey. It's
Jersey.
gritty,
Okay.
dirty.
Mhm.
Bloodhaven might be like the part of New Jersey that falls off into the Atlantic.
Mhm.
Just kind of floating out there. Like it's like Long Island. We're like Jersey's little sister.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that's totally it. And of course, if you really are talking the DC universe, when you're talking about the planet Apocalypse, of course, it is in Des Moines, Iowa.
Correct.
So
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Yes.
and the comics actually addressed so Star City was once Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
really actually kind of makes sense. I can see
right.
that.
Benjamin Percy did an amazing run on Green Arrow, and if anybody knows me, you know I am a pretty big Green Arrow fan. And they actually have where the destruction of Seattle and the
Okay.
rebirth of Star City. It's a really
Sure.
good run. If you ever want a really good, you know, street level superhero story,
Right.
you can never go wrong with Green Arrow.
I
So
mean, and that's really what I think separates Green Arrow from Batman.
yeah,
Even, even though Batman is supposed to be of the people, he always is still that big level threat. We talked about before within previous podcasts that if the
mm,
Justice League was a thing, you really are only pulling Batman and Superman out for those really truthfully like extinction level events.
mhm,
Versus when you think about those heroes that really are there to help out the everyday folks, the kind of like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man version in DC.
yeah,
There are a couple that fall into that. To me, Nightwing, another one of your favorites,
yep,
falls into, and of course, Green Arrow.
yeah, yes. Oh man, and we get a little bit of Green Lantern, and I'm in heaven.
So, Bradley, I have a hypothetical for you before we get into our war
Bring
report.
it.
Can Plastic Man be recycled?
Ooh. I
Did you like
mean,
that, sir?
I love that actually, and absolutely, I think he can be recycled. I
Okay.
mean, I think that might be his biggest enemy is the is the recycling. He's worse for the country or
Yeah.
worse for the world than anybody else because he doesn't want
Yeah.
to be recycled.
Exactly. Like, his carbon footprint is huge, right? Because,
Right.
dude, you're plastic, man. Yeah, dude, you really are. You're a plastic man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, same thing with Robot Man. I'm like, you gotta wonder, like on trash day, if they're really a little tight, like, can we redeem you? We're a little short. We're a little short this week.
Right.
Uh, you know, well, the Metal Men were anyway. We're going on tangent here, but yeah, that's just my thought process. Who could you recycle? And of course, as we are, and we strive to be the most eco-friendly
Mm.
podcast on the internet. So yeah, so as always, can Plastic Man be recycled?
Let me know in the comments. I know I got some people watching here. So, what do you think? Can Plastic Man be recycled? So, Brian,
Sure.
we missed Sunday. That
We
was
did.
on me. I was pretty tired. It was a long week. I had just a lot of work. I did a lot of work this last week. So, my
Mhm.
buddy, my cousin actually got a house. I wanted to go check it out. So,
Very cool.
congratulations, cousin Lance. Nothing but love for you and your lovely wife with the many congratulations are due to you guys. Now,
Congratulations on 30 years of debt.
yes, absolutely. Brian, what have you been up to, buddy?
Similarly, just been doing a lot of different things. So actually, delaying from Sunday was really cool. Doing some things around the house. Getting ready for a new semester. So starting up, so my students will be. That's right. People pay to have this happen to them on a weekly basis as a teacher. So just getting ready for the new semester, and just honestly, as you're going to hear in the war report, there was so much good stuff and a
Yeah.
couple hidden treasures that I found
Ooh.
to this stream. So just really cool things. So I
So what you're
think this
saying?
is. I'm
Okay.
saying it's time to hop into our What's Awesome report.
Right. So what you're saying is I better get my paper out and make sure that I write down all the stuff I need to catch up on.
Yes, yes,
Right.
sir.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's not delay any further and let's go right into our war report. Then we're going to start breaking this down a little
Yep,
bit into
yep.
categories. So, you and I, we're pretty big streaming guys.
Yep.
So let's talk about all those.
Because
things
by
that
the
we-
way, as a man that's in his 40s, there's nothing more important than having a good stream.
Yep,
Yes.
you are correct.
Yes.
Turn your head and cough now.
Yes. No, I want eye contact. Look. No, okay. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I love
Remember,
it.
we are free, folks. All right.
Yes. Depends on what part of Westeros you're in.
I did learn Murmur's Forest. So I'm like, that's some quality shade. Like,
Right.
yeah. Okay. Yes.
I want to know the anatomy on that. I'm actually really interested.
Yes, and and nothing. There's nothing better than being the heir for the day. I mean,
Mm.
Ooh, just the savageness of it. And of course, we always gotta love when they add in, because we know if you've listened to the internet the past 2 weeks,
Mhm.
there is nothing ever wrong with taking a small bit of artistic license
Mm.
with a character from a
Right.
show about dragons and frozen dead people and people who are fed to crabs and you
Yeah.
know rampant incest and misogyny. Those things are okay.
And to just to piggyback on that, and it doesn't matter how good they are, how good the story
Right,
is. It's like,
right.
oh, this is amazing, but you know what? Oh God, people.
Yeah, yes. Because while dragons apparently make sense, black people in a white neighborhood is too far.
Yeah, yeah. I actually really like that character that
By
we
the
were
way,
just.
for folks that are listening, if you don't know, we're going in. We're discussing what is not happening to the What's Awesome Report. We're talking about House of Dragons and
Yes,
specifically Lord Corlys.
yes. So we're 2 episodes in on House of Dragons,
Yes,
and it is fantastic.
yes.
It's a little bit of a slower burn, I would say.
Which I kind of like,
Me
actually.
too. Me too. We didn't, it wasn't the pull like you did, like Game of Thrones had, which I like to
Hmm.
differentiate.
Yep, yep.
And I tell you what, Matt Smith has finally been able to shed his Doctor Who. I mean, with with,
Yes,
with his role as Damon. So
yes.
I mean, good job, Matt Smith. Uh, I love it. Wife likes it. Like I can't wait to see where it goes.
I'm
Brian, what do you
loving
think?
Riz. Well, I'm loving Riz Ifan as Otto Hightower, which is like the coolest name ever. I am Otto Hightower. Like every time they say his name,
Uh huh.
I hear the theme song from Shaft. I just feel like that's something that would be happening there.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but first off, it is a slower burn. For those of you that are not
Hmm.
familiar with the show, by the way, there will be spoilers. Obviously, it
Yeah.
takes place about 100 years before Game of Thrones, so we're assuming that you're familiar with Game of Thrones, and it really focuses on the House Targaryen, which were the longest ruling house when it came to the Iron Throne and Westeros and all that fun stuff, which is a nation full of very fair skinned, very fair haired, very fair eyed individuals who, the nice one, who, by the way, the reason that they all kind of look alike is the lovely practice of incest. So
Yeah.
while we've not had a lot of that, what we did get a little sneak peek in, jumping out of order to episode 2, is to promise a little child marriage,
Yeah.
to your cousin though. So that makes it okay. And,
Right.
yeah, but I gotta say, being from the South, meh, you know, you know, somewhere Jerry Lee Lewis is okay with it. So
I mean, man,
I
I,
just
I
no one in our audience, probably other than me and you, got that reference. But look it up, okay?
right Elvis as well.
Yes,
Um.
because there's nothing that says rock and roll like Great Balls of Fire.
Ooh.
All right.
Turn your head and cough on that one for
Mm,
sure. I do have to give the actor Patty, what's his? I can't think. The guy who plays the king.
yes,
Um,
yes.
some good props there because I mean, like doing those kind of scenes with that young of kids and having them
Hmm.
talk that way. I mean, I could. I mean, I was uncomfortable just watching it.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like,
yes.
man, can you imagine just being and the way that he was like, yeah, this is stupid. I'm not marrying a 12-year-old.
Right.
It's
I
like,
think he's marrying a
we're
16-year-old, but okay.
right,
I mean,
right,
he didn't. He didn't. Let's pause the praise here a
right.
little
Yeah,
bit.
true, true, true,
Um,
true.
but
16 is 20 in Game of
yeah,
Thrones, right?
true story. I mean, by 16 is a grandmother.
Right.
But I also like the fact that they do a really good job. If you kind of counterbalance him versus
Mhm.
Baratheon at the beginning of Game of Thrones, this is a king that feels the full weight of being king.
Yeah.
Versus Baratheon was kind of. I mean, he was a drunk. He was a womanizer. He basically
Yeah.
wanted to fight. He
Mhm.
kind of became king because he was the leader when
Mhm.
the previous king was killed. Um, Versus now, this is someone who has been raised to be royalty and just feeling the weight of that. And also going to episode 1. backing up a little bit. Episode 1 is proof why you may want to have informed consent whenever you have any medical procedure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take that,
Yeah.
Texas. All right. Uh, so it's just been an awesome show. We could do an entire show on
Mhm.
House of Dragons, which we
Oh, and we will.
yes. But as far as Bradley, we haven't broken our beard. By the way, I am cleaned up a little bit. Sir, so I had to get my smoothness back. But when House of Dragons, I think we do our beardies on a scale of 1 to 5,
Mhm.
based on the first 2 episodes, and honestly, the trailer for episode 3, I'm really excited about.
Mhm.
Um, because they're doing like a lot of time jumps between episodes. If
Yeah.
you've noticed,
Yeah. 6 months between 1 and 2.
yeah, and between 2 and 3 by at least 9 months. So
Mhm.
probably over a year if you look at some of the scenes
Mm.
from episode 3. But anyway, 1 to 5 beardies for House of Dragons. What are you gonna give it?
You know what? My
Come
normal
on.
thing would go right to the
Come
5, but
on.
I'm
Come
not
on.
going to do that. I'm not going to go to a 5. I'm going to go to just ZZ Top singing legs, and I'm in the third. I'm in like the 10th row. So I'm going to give this a
Okay.
solid 3. I'm jamming.
3.
I like this.
3.
I like it a lot, but I'm not as close to the beards as I really
Okay.
want to be.
All
right?
right.
I couldn't get in the first couple rows. I'm back a little ways.
Okay.
So it takes a second for it to come to get me.
Gotcha.
The range, the
Gotcha.
legs of it all, So
Okay. All right. I'm gonna be a little more generous than you because I actually the first few episodes of this I actually liked better than the first episode of Game of Thrones. It took I was somewhere it actually took I didn't actually get in Game of Thrones like the 3rd season and then I started from the beginning when the 3rd season was out. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going totally Black Crows. She talks to angels. 4 1/4 beardies. Just for the portrayal and especially my favorite character at this point, fight me, Lord Corlys.
I want to know more about Lord Corlys and the queen that never was.
Yes.
That's very, very interesting. So yeah,
yes.
Good call. Now Chris Robinson does have a pretty decent beard.
Yes. Plus, you gotta admire anything where the lone brother is known as the sea snake.
I did not catch that.
Yes, and I get the feeling that's what the queen calls him.
Yeah, man, that the crab feeder right there at the end of episode
2.
I'm into it. I'm glad they are going a different way than Game of Thrones is.
Yes,
so.
I mean, I love the fact that this is a fairly grounded villain in a world of fantasy. He's just this badass pirate, and and one thing that and then we'll move forward. One thing that I like, one of my criticisms to jump canon for a second. One of my criticisms of the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, where we got so bogged down with the political talks and the Senate and all like this, and some episodes of Game of Thrones felt like that. Like it felt like we're watching CNN, or C-SPAN. This you have quite a bit of time in the small council, but they keep it moving, and you can see little pieces of it. And is it just me? Or do you really just want to give the king some backs of tracing? Like, come here, let me get that. Like, really,
right?
Come here,
Yeah, here.
yeah. Like, you almost want to do like your mom did when you were a little kid. I would get that, yeah. Or another movie reference. Where's the Windex?
Nice, very nice, very nice. All right, Brian, let's go now. You're talking about things being grounded, so we obviously should talk about She-Hulk.
Yes. She-Hulk continues. We saw this one. So, again, spoilers will be discussed. So we get to episode 2 of She-Hulk. I'm really curious why this is on Thursdays when Wednesdays have been historically their day. I'm sure there's a reason.
Mhm.
But so it always, like, perfect example, we're recording on a Wednesday. I still wanted to check it out today. I will also check it out tomorrow. So episode 2 kept it going because, and I like episode 2 a little bit better than episode 1 because now we're starting to see Love the Scroll. Now we're starting to see the connection between She-Hulk and the other properties, namely Shang-Chi, because she not only got her, she had to get a new job because that's what happens when you save people in a litigious society. They fire your behind.
Yeah.
But she got a new job, and Bradley, we got to see a really important character. Who do we meet this week or get
Abo-
reintroduced?
yeah, Abomination.
Yes,
And I'm for it. I kind of dig.
yes.
Like it'll because he's gonna be in Thunderbolts. I mean, they have to put him
Mhm.
in there. I mean, Abomination and Red Hulk pretty much make the
Yeah,
Thunderbolts.
along with Zemo. Don't forget
Along
Baron
with-
Zemo.
right? And yeah, I can't wait to see that interaction. That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So Marvel, hurry up and do Thunderbolts because the last couple things, I mean, like you're kind of going in weird directions. But yeah.
So, and by the way, you gotta love Emil Blonsky with the Crocs. I have such a, anyone that knows me know I have a real issue with Crocs, the shoe Crocs, not crocodiles. We get along, and especially Loki, alligator Loki
Yeah.
as well. But he's sitting there. I'm chill. I'm fine. I'm choosing not to be the Abomination. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we get that awesome. Of course, this in the world we live in, somebody got footage, that lovely footage from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings with him and Wong in the Underground Fight Club. So again, tying into different properties. If you see some of the trailers, we know we eventually do get to meet Wong again in the series, which again I am really excited because it obviously shows that there's a plan for She-Hulk far beyond just the She-Hulk Netflix series.
I hope so. I mean, they've already said that, not that. They did announce that Jessica Jones and Luke Cage will be in the Daredevil show.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Iron Fist was left out of that,
as he should have. Iron Fist is Marvel's Jar Jar. The less said about it, we tried a thing.
Yeah.
In the comics, in another time, having the white guy be better at martial arts than any of your Asian descent characters.
Right.
Maybe
nothing against Chuck Norris.
no, or the beard. But again, I still think Sam's mustache beats Chuck's beard. That's all I'm saying. But
that could be a whole episode.
That could be a whole episode, right? Just the most badass hair but what would be Sam's mustache, Chuck Norris's beard, or Bieber's hair flip? Like, I'm really curious.
I mean, I can't go to Bieber's hair flip.
I can't. Missing the hair, I can't quite. But I'm
right.
I'm approximating it. Yes.
Right, but can you imagine Chuck Norris with? No, I can't. I can't imagine Chuck Norris without a beard.
I would just love to see Sam Elliott and Chuck Norris squared off the fight, and all of a sudden you hear that baby song, and here comes Bieber, like trying to pause it, and they just beat this jolly stomp out of him. I think that would just be fantastic.
Have they ever been in a movie together?
I don't think so. I think that's too much testosterone for the screen. Like, I don't even think an eye mask can put all that in one place at one time.
Right. Yeah. I'm Chuck Norris. I'm gonna check, man.
And if they had, why is that not on constant rotation on some service? That should just be, yeah. That is just too much. By the way, if that did happen, if Sam and Chuck happen to know each other, let's get Chuck somewhere in the Yellowstone universe just for like a quick. I also would hope he would show up in that horrible, my opinion, that horrible Walker reboot. I just want Chuck Norris to show up and beat up old boy from Supernatural. Just like, you know what, Sam, you are the weak brother. You're worse Ranger. All right, okay.
So yeah, I have an answer. No, they haven't. However, they were. Sam Elliott was tapped to take over Chuck Norris' role in a sequel that never happened.
Okay.
But I'm not going to read into it right now. but so there we go.
All right.
However, you both are still alive. It is not too late. All you need is Jeff Goldblum in that movie as well, and Samuel Jackson, which I saw Paws of Fury. I watched Paws of Fury. I
Sure.
super dug it.
Sure.
And you probably it'll break the Oscars.
Well, my personal opinion is perhaps the same, again, spoilers, the same bullet that was used by Sam Elliott at the end of 1883, maybe it's the same magical knife that was used against Killmonger in Black Panther, because somehow I'm not writing either of those characters off.
I think
I'm not writing either of those characters off.
I think we're gonna have to do a future pitch where we're gonna have to put all these characters together.
Yes.
In the near future.
Yes.
But we got She-Hulk, we got House of Dragons. Any other good streaming stuff that we need to talk about?
Samaritan is the last thing on my list, which again, so first off, kudos to Stallone, who has really changed his whole demeanor. As he's got, I mean, he has aged gracefully. You know, he went from the Rocky stuff and the Balboa from First Blood, Rocky, those action things, to really that ensemble with the Expendables movies. Probably made about 3 of those more than they should have. And now we've seen him with as the elder mentor in the Apollo movies, and now I really liked his turn in The Samaritan. So it was a really good movie.
Yeah, we chatted about it, and I looked at the reviews. The reviews were not very good for it. It was like a 5.3 on IMDb.
Yeah, I saw that, but that's more of a critical thing. If you look at the amount of Google users, which is why you look at who enjoyed it, it was like 90+%.
Yeah,
so it's not going to win an Oscar. It's a fun movie to watch.
And I mean, and you know what? You will figure out the twist before the twist happens,
and that's okay. And that's okay.
But it's fun to see that happen, because even knowing the twist, it makes you root for him even more.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I really enjoyed The Samaritans. If you haven't seen it, we won't give any spoilers out about it, because if you watch, you'll figure it out anyway. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. Leave some reviews. Leave some comments at us.
Right. And again, not to spoil it, but the twist, which again, most people will probably be able to figure out, when they still did the reveal, it was done well.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, all right, for anyone that's ever liked those underdog stories where you've got the kids that play on the sports team, but their coach gets, like a hangnail and a gambling problem and disappears. And now the old, if you've ever liked the Mighty Ducks, the Bad News Bears, anything like that, and you go, oh, they're somehow going to win the championship, and you enjoy that. Right? If you watch if you write any romantic comedy and you're shocked when they get together at the end, okay? Like basically, here's another shocking thing for anyone that criticizes how the Samaritan played out. Pretty much, if Hugh Grant shows up in a movie, he's probably getting the girl. He's probably getting the girl. If there's a villain versus a hero, more often than not, unless it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, the villain is probably losing.
Right.
So
if the same thing. If you got Samuel Jackson, you can expect right. If you're watching a movie with Sam Elliott, you're gonna see a great facial hair.
You're going to see. I love the fact he talks. No matter what he says, the mustache does not move. Does not move.
It's trained. The mustache is trained.
Yes. If you watch a movie with Clint Eastwood, it's going to be a very well shot movie with a very crazy man as the director. It's okay.
He's like 91, 92 years old now, man.
Yes.
Wow.
He's so badass, he doesn't even need the facial hair.
Right. It wouldn't stay on him anyway.
No, his follicles don't have time to grow hair. It just cuts it off.
Yeah.
Shink, and it is done. Okay.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah, man. Like, Samaritan was great. Go watch it. Anything else that we streaming? I know.
Last thing from a non-fantasy area, which is a new series on Netflix called Mo, which is a really well done comedy drama series. It stars Mo Amer, who is a Palestinian comedian from Houston, and he does kind of a fictionalized version of his life that is really, really cool. that is really, really cool. Again, it's very funny in parts. It's very dramatic in parts. It's done extremely well. The guy's a comedian, can definitely has good acting chops. So if you're looking at something that honestly the family can watch, he basically is just, and I mean this just to describe Mo Amer. He is a large Palestinian man who you would assume is Latino. He has a strong resemblance to DJ Khaled. He also looks again. So they assume he's Latino. They do a lot of jokes with that. Who is undocumented, who has a brother who is on the spectrum, who is obsessed with his older brother having diarrhea. It's great. It's great.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's great. If you liked if you liked, oh gosh, I can't think of a couple shows, but anyway, check out Mo. Again, it's not the fantasies that we normally talk about. It's just a really good show. You can also, it has a little language in there, but nothing horrible.
Okay.
And just again, something that honestly, definitely you and the wife will dig, but also probably most kids will like because it's actually pretty funny. So
Good.
It's a good show. It's a good show, and very timely for our world right now.
And what is that on? Is that on Prime?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished A Good Place. Great show. So if you haven't watched that, check that out. I'm gonna start Echoes. I think here pretty soon.
I started Echoes. Got 2 episodes in. I'll start at Paper Girls. I've not gone far enough for that. And Brad, have you heard of Naomi on HBO?
Yeah. Well, it's actually a CW show.
It is a CW show. I can catch it on the
I couldn't get into it. It got canceled after the first season.
Yep.
Naomi, I don't know enough about the character. I know she's like a multiversal type thing. I think they just did it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they kind of like they're trying to go for like a more serious like Legends of Tomorrow type thing.
Yep.
And it just didn't work out for me.
I mean, in a world that we've both seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, totally was. They were going to definitely for an America character, and it just didn't work. The acting chops was there. They have Thanagarians there, but it just, and some of the, honestly, because it makes sense with it being a CW show, some of the special effects were just not on par what you would want with some of the things there as well. But it actually, I've gotten about 3 episodes and I'm trying to finish it. I just want to see where it goes. But it's just one of those things that if you got a little time and some effort to check it out, check out Naomi. All right.
So all right. And then, so as far as movies go, my wife and I, we went and saw The Invitation.
Nice.
And it is great. It's a good movie. I wouldn't say super great by any means, but you know the twist. Once the name drops start happening, you kind of know where it's going. I'll leave it at that for you.
Okay.
Definitely check out. It's PG-13, and that's right. The acting was good. It's got one of the Nathalie, what's her name from Game of Thrones, Daenerys' right hand.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She needs to be in either Marvel or DC in some type of form. She's a fantastic actress.
So Marvel and DC, we're just widening your rate. We just want to be your casting people because everything we discuss, somehow they need to be in either Marvel or DC, no matter who it is. Yes,
exactly. You see, they understand. Other than that, I had an Uno tournament at work last.
How was that?
Been a week ago tomorrow. It was fantastic. Had a good turnout there, and then I had a Star Wars trivia night last night, which turned out pretty darn good.
Nice.
So fun stuff there. And I didn't get to any of the comics that I was planning on over the last week. Sure. I don't know, man. I just need to sit down and read some comics, but I got a whole pile of them to read. So
welcome to being an adult nerd. You have to schedule time to read the comics, right?
Exactly. Right. So Brian.
Yes, sir.
Oh, also one last thing. Leveling Up My Awesome. Definitely check out my book. Please. It's a good book.
Third shameless plug. And folks, when I'm saying shameless plug, I want him to keep shamelessly plugging the book. Yeah. So Bradley, we're going to make some records here. I can feel it.
Yeah. Brian, do you got some honest advertising for us?
I do. I've got a couple. So here's the first one. And it is for the Container Store. And I wrote this in the frame of a rhyme.
Ooh.
Come one, come all, and bring all your crap. Don't want to throw it away? We'll fix it in a snap. Big ones, small ones, boxes galore. Keep all your surplus items. Don't donate them to the poor. Spend, consume, blow all your cash. If you wind up homeless, we even have a container for your ass. The Container Store.
Oh, good job. Well done, Brian. Brian, now that we
Sir.
got our war report done, what are we talking about as we move on to our prevenge part of the show?
Yes, sir. We got a request to do some of our favorite one season shows. So
And who's the
um,
request from?
that asked was from our subscriber, Stacy, actually. So
All right. Thank you,
yes,
Stacy, very
yes.
much.
So talking about what are some of the best one season shows that we've done. So I know we both did our list, and as always, Bradley and I never discuss our list. But really just some of the things that we felt were good shows that unfortunately died too soon. Before we get into it, I'm gonna tell you what I did with my list. I tried to stay away from the ones that everybody talks about. So Firefly, Freaks and Geeks, a lot of those shows that most people go, oh, this was a show that was gone a little too soon. And honestly, I am of the ilk, which is why I brought this up when we talked about the Samaritan. There's shows that maybe I was the only one watching it, but I go, I love that show. So a lot of shows that are on my list, the ratings were horrible. And they probably should have gone down with one season when you base on advertising dollars. But I enjoyed them, and I would have loved to see at least one more season out of them.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and let's just go do our however many you got. I got 6.
Sure. All right. Well, I have a few honorable mentions. I'll throw these out here quickly, then I'll talk about my top 5. So number one of my honorable mention, I got to go to Oblongs. Really good show. If you don't know the Oblongs, it is this really. It starred Will Ferrell as basically it's an animated show where they really looked at, and this was a time that we had a lot of more of the adult animation coming out. So this was up against shows like The Simpsons, King of the Hill, Futurama. It just got swallowed up. But the basic idea was you had the hill and the valley folks, High the princess, and the folks that lived in the valley were exposed to all the toxic waste people who lived in the hills. So, like Will Ferrell's character has no arms, no legs, and like one strand of hair, and he learns to manipulate. And his kid, everyone's a little weird. Great show, totally not PC, but extremely funny. I threw this on here just for you, Bradley. The 1990 version of The Flash. Really good show.
But now that was 2 seasons, though, wasn't it?
I checked. It said it was only 1.
Really? I thought it was 2.
2 years, 1 season.
Oh,
2
okay.
years, 1 season.
Leia, want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, Princess Leia. And poor Dad's ears. Poor Dad's ears.
Do you want this?
Sure.
Can you talk to Brian? Say hi to Brian.
Hi, Princess Leia. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
School going well?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Good to see you.
Good to you too.
Awesome. Well, me and Dad are going to finish up the podcast so you can get some dad time. What do you think?
Okay.
Cool beans.
Bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Oh, man.
My life's
I
full
lo-
for ears.
All right. While you're getting your hearing back, the rest of my honorable mentions were a cool show. You can actually stream this on Hulu called Second Chance. Really good sci-fi show. And then a couple from the 80s that, again, they just because I really love them. One was Manimal. You remember Manimal?
Manimal. A brief, kinda.
Yeah, Manimal was.
You turn into animals.
He turned into animals. They never explained why.
Yeah.
They did a really quick thing, like he was in the African jungle, and there's a totem, and all of a sudden he could turn into animals. They still never explained why. And on the off shots of, you had Knight Rider in a car, you had Airwolf in a helicopter, you needed a motorcycle, and we had Street Hawk.
Yeah, I remember Street Hawk. Dude, you know what? We should do several episodes about we'll pitch fix and ditch all those, all those shows from the 80s and bring them back the only way that Brad and Brian can.
Yes, sir. All right, so here's my top 5. And all these, I thought these are my top 5 primarily because I thought these were things that if they came out now may actually be way more successful. I think they were just before their time. Okay. So number 5, on the heels of we both love the Sandman series. If Constantine came out now, I think it would be a much more popular show. It would be a much more popular show. Again, one from the 80s, which again in a world we've got more and more Marvel DC stuff. The Misfits of Science. I don't know if you remember that one, Brad. Viper, yes.
No, are you talking about Viper from Game of Thrones?
Viper, you don't know Viper?
Viper, I'm blanking here, buddy.
Yes,
TJ, I'm sorry.
Again, it was still that thing of we had the you had supposed to have the magical vehicles that were super armed, and Viper was again that same ilk. I can't remember if Viper because Street Hawk was not even on a network. Street Hawk was syndicated. And
it was like Captain Power, right? Captain Power. You remember Captain Power?
I do remember Captain Power, but I don't think this is. I'm not. I really don't think that's what we're talking about.
The Dodge Viper.
So yeah, not quite. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. But basically, it was like again, kind of a superheroes show. They had a crime. God, what's the name of the crime? There was like a syndicate they fought. Shoot. But I'm gonna But yeah, we need to revisit those hidden wonder shows.
Yeah.
But Viper was one of the ones that. Yeah. So TJ, thank you for bringing up Viper.
Yeah, TJ, you'll have to join us on that on that episode.
Yes. So again, Misfits of Science, again, just a great show. I mean, in a world that now has the X-Men or been exposed to the X-Men, Misfits of Science would have been perfect. Kindred the Embrace. Do you remember that one, Bradley?
I do not remember that one.
This was, it had super armor. There we go. So Kindred the Embrace was if they did Twilight and it didn't suck. Okay. So Kindred the Embrace took the idea of vampires, made most of them pretty, but really combined vampires with like the mafia. Okay, so you had houses in Game of Thrones. You had houses of vampires, and most of them were, attractive. They didn't shimmer, and then you had like more of the old school vampires, the Nosferatu, but really how they kind of moved. And so again, it was kind of Twilight meets Sopranos. Really good show. My last two, which are Pitch, the Soul Knot sci-fi one. Pitch starred Mark Paul Gosselaar. It was a show from a few years ago where they it featured like the first female baseball player. She was a pitcher. Again, really good show. Was set up to be really successful, and then just there was no second season. We got to the end of season 1, and that was it. All right, and then my number one show that I am 100% sure it would be a hit today if it came out, and I really did get one season because it was before its time. Because if you like Stranger Things, you would have loved this show, and it is Erie, Indiana.
Yeah, great show. Here, I want to go back to Viper, Brian. Here,
yes,
that right there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, TJ, good call, buddy.
First off, it's a cooler car than the Night Industries 2000. Not gonna lie.
You know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. All right.
It's a total knockoff of Knight Rider, which probably why it only got a limited run. But not to mention, I think less Hasselhoff the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those are my top 5. But again, Erie, Indiana. Again, if you're not familiar with that one, again, it was a Stranger Things before Stranger Things, or if you like Eureka, or even those shows that are on like the Sci-Fi Network, it was just a show that was just unfortunately, if you like Goosebumps, even if you were when you were a kid, it just was too early for its time. But Erie, Indiana was one of the ones that really absolutely should have gotten more than one season.
Yeah. What else you got?
That's my group, man. What do you got, sir?
All right, man. So I have a number 1, and then I have a whole bunch of like number 2s, right? So, Godless from Netflix.
Yes.
amazing show.
Yes.
And I'm so surprised that it didn't get more. Pretty much it is a Western
Mhm.
with a female lead.
Yep.
Go check it out. I'm not gonna explain it here.
Now I think Godless was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Godless may have been meant to only be one season, but it should have been
Mhm.
more. It was really good. It was really, really good.
Yeah. And Terra Nova.
See, I couldn't get into Terra Nova. I wanted to so bad, but okay.
Oh man, I love that show so much. I loved that show. Yeah, I mean, like I'm a dinosaur guy. I mean, I like I wish Turok would be something right now, but it's not. You know, I mean, like I feel like the Turok is a missed opportunity for any studio.
If you go in Turok, I want the Sleeve Stacks as well. Okay, we're going there. I want them all. I want all the old schools in there. All right.
Right? Yeah, man. On that Almost Human, Carl Urban,
Very good.
and Michael. Is it
Michael Ealy. Michael Ealy. Yes. Yes.
Michael Ealy's a great man.
Yes.
You know what? He should be in Marvel or DC.
He should be in Marvel or DC.
I mean, and Carl Urban. I mean, Judge Dredd. I mean, and Bones.
And the Boys.
And the Boys.
Yes.
Let's go to Bones before the Boys, I guess.
Okay. I mean, but honestly, both of them. I mean, Almost Human was such a good show. It probably would have been better as a movie just because of. Just the subject matter. But yeah, that was another one that I was really sad to see only got one season. Almost Famous, good pull there.
Yeah.
Almost Human, Almost Famous. Almost Human.
Almost Human, yeah. You're right. That would have been a better show or movie than it was a show. They tried to do too much of it, but Forever with Ian, what's his name? I can't think of. He was Mr. Fantastic in the 90s.
Yes.
Groveful.
Something like that. His last name is gonna escape me, but that yes.
Yep, good show. And my number 2. Now this is Firefly. Firefly, argued the best show that only went one season. Now,
one of the few Joss Whedon products that actually didn't succeed. I mean, truthfully, I mean that, and should have, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been back. I mean,
was it on a Friday? I forget the way it was slotted. I felt like it wouldn't. I think that was part of the issue too. Was Fridays historically are not Fridays and Saturdays historically not good shows. Excuse me, not good. Nice people stay in and watch television unless they're kids. So yeah.
I mean, Firefly should have taken the spot of Next Generation. Like that's where it should have been. I mean, they should have been Saturday nights.
Yes, absolutely.
The show that I missed.
Anything that stars Nathan Fillion should get at least 3 seasons.
And Marina Backin.
Yes, I mean you gave us like 9 seasons of Castle. You couldn't give us 2 seasons of Firefly. Right. All right. Anyway. Okay.
Oh, and the show that I missed the most was a show from 2018 called Deception. It was about a magician, an illusionist, and he was working with the crime fighters to solve crimes using magic. And but like, and there's a mystery with his twin brother, and they kind of left it open. It was back and forth. There was going to be a season 2, but it ultimately didn't happen.
All right.
I don't even think it's streaming anywhere, but if you do see it, check it out. It's a good show for a season.
I had not heard of that. So that one that's kind of made my mental Rolodex, if you will. Good pull.
Yeah, and are we missing anything?
I think this is the first list we've ever done, and we had nothing in common.
I think you're right.
That was really good. So, now, partner, I hope this does not break up our team. But I do have a confession to make.
Okay.
While I do like Firefly,
I
have never quite gotten the ultimate. Now, it should have been more than one season, but it was good. It was not great. I feel it was good though.
So and here's my confession, is that I didn't watch Firefly until after I watched Serenity.
Okay. Same.
Yeah. So that's where, I mean, like, so I went into Serenity, not really, I mean, I heard of Firefly, but I didn't really know Firefly at that time. Sure. And I'm like, this is freaking amazing. Like, why? This should be a show.
It was.
And it was. Yeah.
I'm sure it's Nathan Fillion and Gina Torres and our whole crew is like getting their last residual check. They're like, we were on every week.
Right.
And I know there have been a couple attempts to revive the show.
Mhm.
I think streaming would have been more of a thing when it got canceled. It would have,
Mhm.
similar to Lucifer, would have jumped right into a streaming service like a Hulu or a Netflix, would have
Mhm.
absolutely picked it up. But still, very, very good show. I don't put it as low as I put Doctor Who by any stretch. But I did just want to say, I hope it didn't break us. I am not the world's biggest Firefly fan, but that does not mean the show didn't deserve more than one season.
Right. All right, Bill. I think we did pretty good there. Brian, you got a tap for me, don't you?
I do. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I
Mhm.
will say all the stuff we've been talking about kind of made me think of a tat I wanted. This to be a short one. It's one of my riddles to see if you
Nice.
figure out the character. So for those of you that have not heard one of these for a little bit, as well as just for Brad to review the rules, I'm gonna read the riddle. I will read it as many times as Bradley would like. He gets 3 guesses, and he can and we will go from there. So, with that being said, Bradley, do you have your brain and your ears ready, sir?
I have my brains in my ears, and I got TJ here in the comments to help me out.
All right, TJ, here we go. All right. So, here it is. I don't bake cookies, but I can stand the heat.
Okay.
You may think I know George when we first meet. While I don't make toys, I do play with rings. Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. My doom is not a doctor, and the Red Skull and Magneto are on my side. From Sin City to Wakanda, I will make my ride.
Oh, buddy. So give it to me one more time here.
Absolutely. I don't bake cookies, but I can stand the heat. You may think I know George when first we meet. While I don't make toys, I do play with rings. Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. My doom is not a doctor, and the Red Skull and Magneto are on my side. From Sin City to Wakanda, I will make my ride.
Okay, are we talking about somebody from the Fellowship of the Ring?
Yes.
Okay. Are we talking about a Hobbit?
No.
Oh crap. Okay. Are we talking about? Are we an actor? Is the answer an actor?
No.
Okay.
It is. I will even help you that it is the character that the actor plays.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So,
That's
man,
your hints.
That's
That's your question. So now
yeah,
you got your 3 guesses though.
All right. All right. Read it one more time.
Sure. I do not bake cookies, but I can stand the heat. You may think I know George when first we meet.
George.
While I don't make toys, I do play with rings. Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. My doom is not a doctor, and the Red Skull and Magneto are on my side. From Sin City to Wakanda, I will take my ride. So I will give you a hint here. So a lot of this was to give you hints about it is part of Fellowship of the Ring. So you got that far.
Yeah.
So the rest of it would be wrong.
Oh, Smeagol?
Wrong again. You got one more.
Oh no. Okay. Man, so I'm really thinking
I'm gonna read it one more time. Read it one more time. This I really want you to get it. Okay. I don't bake cookies, but I can stand the heat. You may think I know George. This is an important part. You may think I know George when first we meet. While I don't make toys, I do play with rings. This is the other big part of it. Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. My doom is not a doctor, and the rest of them and Magneto are on my side. from Sin City to Wakanda, I will make my ride. So the last help I'm going to give you is the two biggest pieces of who this person is you may think I know George when first we meet, and Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. Last guess, Bradley. Iron Man legitimately mentions his character.
Oh my gosh. So, and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like Frodo, because I seem to remember him mentioning Frodo Baggins.
He does mention Frodo. You did not guess Frodo, so I would have said it is not Frodo.
Right. Brian, you got me, buddy. I'm gonna give my last guess.
All right.
What is it?
You didn't. You definitely have a guess to say a name. Just throw someone
All
out.
right. Okay. Then I'm gonna go James Spader.
No. Okay. Here's the last. Okay. I'll just say this. So Iron Man mentions me when Hawkeye pulls his strings. What is Hawkeye's occupation? What kind of crime? What does he do?
He's an assassin.
Okay,
assassin.
but he uses
secret agent.
But what does he use to?
Oh, bow.
A bow. He's an archer, right?
Right.
In Lord of the Rings, who is the most famous archer?
Oh my, Legolas.
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 That's the answer. In the Avengers, when they come back together in New York, when he's going to fly Hawkeye to a building, he tells him to clench up Legolas.
Oh man. Okay.
And
so I do not remember that.
And you may think I know George when first we meet. George as in George R.R. Martin. Think about how Legolas looks very much
like a Targaryen.
Like a Targaryen. Absolutely.
Well done, sir. I think that's the first time you've beaten me in a while.
It's been months. I have not stuck to in months. So
all right. Well,
nice
good job.
TJ, you have no help. Where were you, bro? Where were you? TJ, like, I'm not getting into this. He's got too much time on his hands. All right.
Right. All right. So my little extra part that I want to do is so I had an idea after watching Samaritan about a superhero, and I wanted to workshop this with you, Brian.
Sure.
But all of his nightmares becomes his villains. And that's what he fights, right? So everything is from his head. So there would be no villains if he didn't exist. So he's on a search to end himself so no more villains come out.
Okay.
So that's about as far as I got. I was sitting there trying to develop it. I'm like, the search for suicide probably isn't the greatest, but like I'm sure there's something. I'm like, all right, we're Brian and I are gonna have to workshop this.
So the title right now, we'll call it Dreamcatcher. That's exactly what I would call it.
I love it.
Okay, and I think you could talk about how he's tried to do self-harm, but before he dies, one of the dreams heal him somehow, so they won't let him die. So his ultimate thing is to stop the dreams. By the way, just real quick, because I thought about something else that's awesome to watch. If you've not watched it, it's an FX show that you can catch up weekly on Hulu. Check out The Patient with Steve Carell. Really good. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw that today. I haven't watched it, but yeah,
very good. So I think it's only 2 episodes so far on Hulu. I forget when it actually airs on FX, but The Patient is super, super good. Okay. Cool. Okay, so you're right. So he's a hero that his dreams become his nightmares. So you could actually, have him in his work. Actually, you could do kind of like what they did in Lucifer, which in The Patient, that's what made me think of The Patient. Is he's actually start seeing a psychiatrist or a therapist to help him deal, with his trauma, while he also has to fight off his living nightmares. And of course, the nightmares begin to target his therapist. You can make it where there's some love triangle there, because the therapist is the biggest threat to it. And I think maybe the eventual payoff is again, like you said, when I was playing with the idea of the Samaritan, would be that there actually is a true alter ego inside of him. So this alter ego So if we're gonna call the show Dreamcatcher, then you could just go literally and call the villain Nightmare.
Yeah.
Uh, and this person is sending out the dreams. So, maybe, the evil villain is imprisoned in
Yeah.
the hero. Kind of like a Horcrux in Harry Potter. Again, if you don't know that about Harry Potter, what have you been doing? So we're not even
Yeah.
gonna that, that's not a spoiler, that's just a fact at
Mhm.
this point. Just like, by the way, Snape is Harry's real daddy. I will argue that with J.K. Rowling. Fight me. Snape is Harry's real daddy. That's what's up. That's why he cares so much about the little boy. That's it. Okay. All right. Okay. So apparently, I just want to pick fights with J.K. Rowling. Everybody else is counselor. Why not me? Uh, but with that being said, I think that's the first thing is that the dreams or the nightmares, they heal him. Every time the nightmares do some level of damage, the nightmare character gets strong. He's trying to break out of his prison. They're like inside the hero. And again, they heal him, and then a big part of it is protecting the therapist from the nightmares. You can build in a love triangle if you want. I think that's a big piece of it in what you would call the dream catcher, because again, he's trying to capture his dreams. So I think that right there would be a really cool piece of the puzzle. I think if you're going to do that, you make the individual Native American, just
Mhm.
by the fact that it gives respect to indigenous peoples who really
Yeah.
created the dream catcher. I have a friend who speaks a lot about the importance of dream catchers. So let's be sensitive and aware, and call us woke if you want to, and make the person indigenous, and again, really create that. I really like that idea, because in the end, you're fighting yourself, and maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. Maybe that be even the tagline of the comic or the show or the movie or whatever the product
Yeah.
is. What if you are your own greatest enemy? What if you are the villain?
Yeah.
Because he
And the
is
hero. What if you're the villain and the hero?
the hero. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
so you're the hero because you're also the villain.
Yeah,
And yeah. Yeah,
I
man.
really like that idea, Dreamcatcher. Yeah, I even
Yeah.
could kind of see what the person would look like in my head.
Yeah.
Did you do like a Dreamcatcher insignia on like their uniform? Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Hit us up, Marvel and DC. We can do this. We can
We can
definitely
do
do
it.
this.
We
Yeah.
can do it. We can do it, man. I'm telling you.
Now, do you think that the Dreamcatcher would fit into our variant universe? Which I think we
We
may
need to
need
get
to
back to the
do.
variant. Yeah,
Yeah, I think maybe we'll do next week's episode or this Sunday's episode, and maybe that'll be our topic, as we'll talk about the variant and see if
I think
yeah,
so. I think so.
awesome.
So I think anything can fit in the variant work. I think it's just another push on
Mhm,
of that. So again, perhaps what we wound up saying, and I'm always a fan of stealing ideas from other products. So
mhm.
maybe the big payoff with the Dreamcatcher show is so Nightmare was like this horrible villain, before Shattered Earth Day. And what winds up happening is Nightmare is actually placed in the body of, let's say Nightmare's child grows up to be the hero. So we imprison Nightmare in their kid, and Nightmare's only way of breaking loose is to again make their kids, as they become an adult, their dreams reality, and make them villains and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot that can be done there.
Fantastic. I do too, man. So with that being said,
Yes, sir.
I think it's time for a little bit more honest. How about this? And now it's time for Honest Advertising by Brian S. Dennis.
I think it's time for our second and final honest advertising. Now, Bradley, I am going to do the advertising for Starbucks. And this is because I'm already seeing on social media people drinking their PSLs. It is too soon for the pumpkin spice latte. Okay. It's going to be 90 degrees here in a couple days. It's too soon. All right. So I decided I would do Starbucks in the tone of the theme song from Cheers. Now,
Ooh.
I'm going to do my level best. By the way, people that are listening live, have some grace in the comments. Okay. All right, here we go. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Where can you go where the lines are long and the coffee's scalding hot? where people wear skinny jeans and Fitbits, where the barista tells you how much to tip. Starbucks, where no one ever knows your name. Dave, Diane, and D'Angelo are all spelled the same. Where if you say small, medium, or large, you're judged. The place that leaves you needing a hug. Starbucks, where no one knows your name.
Well done, Brian.
I couldn't bring
Well
myself to
done,
sing on the
sir.
podcast. No, I couldn't do it to our audience. Okay. TJ would never forgive me. I apologize for that.
Oh man, that was good, buddy. That was really good. Now we're gonna do a little pitch, fix, and ditch.
Nice.
Brian, what should we put our stamp on? Something that we've talked about today. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
So, what would be a good property that we could do a quick pitch to? We could fix what needs to be fixed, and then we could also make it worse. What do you think?
Let's fix. You know what? Why don't let's fix
Can we go
um
Viper?
uh
I don't
Viper's
think I
pretty
know
good.
enough about it though.
Yeah, you gotta know more about Viper
Okay.
to do that. So how about this one? So for people who are hating on the Samaritan, let's
Okay.
fix the Samaritan.
All right, man. Let's pitch. Let's start with the pitch. So I'll start this one out a little bit. I got a
Alright.
couple good ideas. So
Okay.
now somehow, really what happens in the fire, because it's not really shown, is the Samaritan really didn't die, and even Nemesis thought that he died,
Mhm.
or yeah, it's Nemesis, right?
Correct. Samaritan
Yeah,
and Nemesis, yes.
right. So my pitch is going to be it's going to play at the same time as the movie,
Okay.
only from the Samaritan's point of view, where it becomes kind of the villain, and they kind of like swap
Mhm.
roles, but only
Yes.
but only he's not going to show his face.
Sure.
So he was actually like the Samaritan, kind of like set things in place for Cyrus,
Mhm.
and the Samaritan is really the boy's dad.
Nice.
And then so really Nemesis, oh, and by the way, spoilers if you haven't seen this, is really the boy's
His uncle.
uncle.
Yes. I like that. And I think you can also delve more into this as the boy realizes that the Samaritan is really his father. Is that because one of the things that, again, spoiler alert, one of the things that Cyrus said, which actually what I liked about the movie was a lot, was Cyrus said that one of the things that Nemesis did was Nemesis always punched up. So how about in this one, we find out that while the Samaritan is viewed by the public as the good guy,
Mhm.
and Nemesis is viewed by the public as the bad guy, you really have almost like a Robin Hood type deal. So Nemesis is the Samaritan is basically paid for by big corporations.
Ooh.
So what you wind up having is basically a lot of deep fakes that when he is stopping people, he's stopping reporters from
Mhm.
exposing like big pharma. He's destabilizing. He's squashing. You need to make it like an international thing. Like
Yeah.
he's squashing. Up and coming governments for freedom and democracy. And
Mhm.
Nemesis is still his nemesis. But again, what we find out is that we wind up discovering that Samaritan has this huge media conglomerate corporate entity that really is almost like in The Boys,
Mhm.
fixes him to be looked at as the hero and also damning Nemesis as the villain. I think also what you wind up seeing is that we wind up seeing that Samaritan actually, again, spoiler alert, the fire that kills their parents was actually set by the Samaritan.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think we did good on that pitch, Brian. Now it's
Yes.
time to fix. So how can we fix the Samaritan? if we can.
Yes. Well, I think once you establish those couple things, the way that you
Mhm.
fix the Samaritan is that you actually you really set this up, that you actually do it more from the perspective of the little boy. Okay. So
Yeah.
you really make it all about the kid and him really doing the detective. So so him finding little things, little clues like that, where he really is sure
Mhm.
that Stallone is actually the Samaritan. And at the end of it, you realize that Stallone is Nemesis, but then you have to reveal that the Samaritan isn't actually dead. And this will actually go on how we were ruining here for a moment as well. Is
Mhm.
that, they go to maybe what had been the Samaritan's Force of Solitude, his headquarters, whatever you want to call it. And Nemesis is there with the hammer, and well, no, he doesn't have the hammer, but they're discussing it, and all of a sudden what you do is you hear the hammer drop,
Mhm.
and you look behind you and you see Nemesis, excuse me, Samaritan, I'm getting her names completely backwards here. You see a Samaritan walk down a few steps wearing the mask, basically saying that, because the little boy maybe displays, now that he's stressed, he should have been injured, but he's not, the super
Mhm.
strength, all like that. And he realizes that, and you hear, he goes, how can I do that? And you hear the hammer drop and you see Samaritan walking down, and you just hear him go, you got it from your father. And
Yeah.
you start to see that those moments there. So I think that would be what you would start to see. The little boy can have to get overheated, all the things.
Mhm.
And that's the other thing. I think they did a great job of actually bringing in like a vulnerability to being invulnerable, with the whole getting hyper hot when he's
Yeah.
got to heal. So I think that's one way that we can fix it. But I also have the best way in which we can destroy it, if you're ready.
I would love to hear it, Brian. Let's ditch it now.
So here's how we ditch it. Everything I just said and how we fix it. You shoot it from the little boy's perspective. You hold and hold and hold to have him figure out, the mystery. You make it sound like that Stallone's gonna be the Samaritan. You flip it where he is Nemesis, but then you get the whole thing of the corporate, and then Samaritan isn't dead, and Samaritan walks down the steps wearing the Samaritan's mask, and then he pulls the mask off and reveals that while they are twins, they're not identical, they're fraternal, and that the Nemesis's twin brother is none other than one Ivan Drago. Dolph Lundgren is the Samaritan.
Um, I'm speechless. Yeah, man.
And let's say
I thought you were gonna go with the guy from from Demolition Man there for a
I almost
second.
went there. I was with there for a second. Yeah, yeah. No. And then the best thing, let's say let's say the Samaritan's real name is something like Doug, and you've got Nemesis going, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah. And somehow Brigitte Nielsen would be like the kid's like
Oh
teacher.
no!
Like we
Right.
gotta have Brigitte in there, and then
Yeah.
and then to further ruin it, the leader of the gangs isn't Cyrus, it's Flavor Flav.
I
Like,
mean,
let's have all of Brigitte's former lovers in there. You've got Stallone, you've got Dolph Lundgren, and you've got, of course, one of these things is not like the other, Flavor Flav, in there, and just let's make it. Can you imagine the amount of back team you would need on set at that point? Forget COVID. There are some things worse than COVID.
You know,
Okay, like there ain't enough Lysol in the world. I mean, that place safe.
Jeff Goldblum could not say that. Could not say that.
But he would try.
He would try.
Because he would wear a black shirt that's unbuttoned a little too far.
Right.
And
He
you
would
ever know? You ever also he always finds a way to lounge with the
right.
shirt unbuttoned, no matter what's happening. Like The Fly, Jurassic Park, anything. He's always in a black shirt, and he managed to find like a couch or a chaise lounge. There's a bidet. He just leans back, and just to show all the gold bloomy. Okay.
Right,
Yes.
right, yeah.
Yes.
All that glitters is not gold.
Yes. But you trust me, there are a bunch of middle-aged women out there going, yes. You know, and if it's good enough for Gina Davis, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, there's truth to that. All right, Brian.
We're going to hell.
How can we find you, sir?
Well, if you're at the Container Store or Starbucks, don't sue me. But if you're not a Container Store nor Starbucks, you can find me on Facebook at Brian Stephen Dennis. Feel free to send me a friend request, follow my page. I try and keep it somewhat humorous and always mention Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. So, have you seen the trailers for the Winnie the Pooh horror movie?
No, is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's a real thing. There's trailers up for it.
Wait. How is this not in my life? Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm surprised we haven't talked about it yet. I swear we talked about this before, but
okay.
It's like Honey of Terror or something like that. But definitely, you'll have to look that up.
Bruh. Okay, I'm going straight to YouTube the moment we sign off tonight. I have got to make this happen. Okay.
All right, so you can tweet at me at Fandemic3. You can message me on Facebook at The Fandemic. And I'm now active on TikTok at The Fandemic1, where you can hear my reviews and so much more. If you want to support the show, there are several ways to do so. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefandemic. Become a monthly subscriber or supporter like Stacey did at anchor.fm/PVOTN. Or you just go to PayPal or Venmo at Bradley Butin. Or you can just share the awesome with someone that you want to make a little more awesome in your life.
By the way, I got to jump in, sir. I went to YouTube to prove that our phones listen. I went to YouTube. I typed W. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey. That's what it is. They are paying attention. All right.
Yes.
So Marvel and DC, we could use it. So, Brian,
buy some coffee. Okay.
I think we have met. I think we are at the max levels of awesome for the week, unless you have yet to buy my book, Leveling Up My Awesome, by Bradley Butin.
And we're not talking about the Four Horsemen, folks. That is our fourth shameless plug, or in the words of the iconic and now pot smoking Ric Flair, woo!
Let's end every episode like we always do, and that is on a positive note.
Absolutely.
Brian, what are your words of wisdom?
Well, my words of wisdom are always this. Remember, no retreat, no surrender, and Goonies, never say die.
We're all playing the same game in life, just on a different level. Thanks for catching up. You're welcome for leveling up your awesomeness. Live free or die empty. Have a great day.
Get your earphones in, everybody, and everybody hear us out. We are Brad Butin and Brian Dennis, and this is PVOTN. We've got my dad leveling up your awesomeness, dropping knowledge of TV, movies, and comics. We've got Brian Dennis flexing his nerd muscles. How you level up your awesomeness? He will solve the puzzle. Just when you thought you've heard it all, a new episode will come along. Won't you like, subscribe, and rate our show? One last thing. Leave a 5-star review before you go. Oh yeah!